So yesterday we have seen the like inheritance, how to do the inheritance. Okay, how to provide the relations between the classes. Okay, so that we have seen with some example. Okay, student, college, faculty. Okay, these classes example. Okay, when we are performing okay inheritance between the classes. Okay, what we are doing? So we are extending the classes one by one class. We are extending. And the usage of extends also, the meaning of extends also I have explained. And we have discussed super keyword also. Okay, so when we are inheriting the properties of some class, okay, it can be any super class. We can have more than one super classes. Remember it. We can have more than one super class in the multi-level inheritance. In the multi-level inheritance, we can have more than one superclass. So let me open that.
Shiva, I have done that, Shiva. Sorry for interrupting. Can you check now that message is showing or not? Commit message.
Yeah, that we will check like after the
Okay.
class. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So here we can have more than one superclass. For D, there are three superclasses. For E, there are three superclasses. Okay. So when you use super keyword, okay, when you use super keyword, suppose let me take faculty or some logistics or office tab. Okay, here if I use super keyword here, display office details, super dot display faculty details. Along with the office details, it will also display faculty details. So when you use super keyword, what happens is it goes to its super class, this particular class. It checks that method is available or not. It checks that method is available or not. It will check. Suppose the same method is available in, if the same method is available in both the classes, suppose I have faculty details here, right? If the same method is available in student class also, so let me write one class in college. I write one method void display method, some method I'm writing here. Okay, some hello inheritance, or this is inheritance, or this is college class. Similarly, I have the same method. Okay, we can write with the new logic, right? Okay, when we are extending, if you are not satisfying with the existing logic, if you want, you can write a method with same name. So now, if I write the same method in faculty class, this is faculty class. The same method I write in the student class also. So here I'm writing student class. Okay, so if you observe here, this display method is available in college, faculty, and student. So let me go to office here. Here, instead of calling display faculty details, I will call display method. If I call display method, okay, from which class it will call this display method when I use super keyword. Okay, so let me run it. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so let me call display office details. display office details. So when I call this method, okay, by default, it is displaying, this is faculty class, because super.display, when we use super.display, it goes to this faculty class and it will call this display method. Suppose if I want to call the student class display method from the office class, can I do that? Student class display method, when I call it, it has to display, this is student class, this is student class message, it has to display. Then how can I call display method of student class using super keyword? Okay, this is not at all possible. This is not at all possible. You cannot call display method of your like ancestor classes. Okay, so one level only it will check. It will check only one level. When you use super keyword, up to one level only it will check. If the method is available, then it will call that method. Suppose if the method is not available, then it will go to the next level. If you run it, it will display, sorry, not here, from the office class I have to run it. Okay, so faculty class, if you call this display method, if you go to faculty class, this display method is not available now. Okay, so if you run your code from the office class, see, it displays student class. See, because it will go to faculty class. If it is available, then it immediately calls that method. If it is not available, it will go to another super class. This is the another super class for the faculty class. So now here it is available. So it is calling that method. Okay, so here again, if you want to call calculator, sorry, college display method, again you cannot call with the super keyword from office details class, office class. Okay, in the hierarchy, it founds one method, display method, immediately it calls that method. Suppose if it is not available in student method, then it will go to the next level and it will check whether it is available or not. If you again run this code, you can see this is college class. Okay, super keyword when you use. So one by one levels, it will check the immediate method in the level. If it finds, it immediately calls that method. Okay, understand the super keyword, how it works. This keyword also will do the same, but this keyword, okay, when you have same methods in the classes, suppose I have display method here in the college class, I have display method, and the student class I have display method. Okay, if I use this keyword, the first priority it will give it to the current class or to the next parent class. Okay, again you will get faculty class here. If you use super keyword, what it will print? Let's see. Again, it is giving the faculty class. Why it is giving for this and also for the super keyword? When you use this or super keyword, when you use this keyword, immediately it will check in this code. Immediately in this, it will check in the current class code. If it is not available, it will go to the next level when you use this keyword. Here, display method is not available. Display method is not available. So that is the reason it is printing the super class, the parent class display method. Suppose if I have the display method in my office class, if I have display method, so this keyword, it will start from this current class only. See, now it is printing office class, this keyword. But if I use super keyword now, it will not check from the current class, it will go to the parent class. Okay, so now we are getting faculty class. So that is the difference between super and this keyword. Okay, in the hierarchy it will check. Okay, the preceding one, the preceding class, it will check for D. Okay, parent class, or you can say preceding or any other thing. Okay, it will check parent class first when you use super keyword. When you use this keyword, it will check the same class, it will check. Super keyword, it will check in the parent class, and this keyword checks the current class. If it finds in the super class, okay, then it will execute this and super also. If it is not find, again it will go back to the next parent class. So like that, it will backtrack the classes, the old classes, because the the reason to extend the class is we always, okay, add the new features, right? It should not call the old code. It should not call the old code, even though we have the same function name in the different classes in the hierarchy. It has to call every time the latest code. Okay, when you extend, so not only adding a new functionality, the existing functionality also you will change. In that time, the changed functionality only it has to call every time. So that is the reason we have those restrictions. Okay, so writing the same methods whenever we have some relation between the classes, writing the same methods. If you observe here in college, faculty, student, and office, we have same method. Okay, whenever you are creating the same method means, okay, this is the least class which is having, that is having the latest logic, latest code. Okay, there is no use of previous classes code. That is the reason you are writing. Okay, if you want to write the same code in all classes, what is the use then? Duplicate code, right? It is not required. You can call that. So without using this also, so you can call that method, right? Okay, whenever you are adding the new logic, that time only you will create a same method. You will override the existing logic. Okay, so technically this process we call it as polymorphism. Polymorphism. What is polymorphism? In the first class only, or I think in the third class, I have explained it. Polymorphism. So here, let me go to 5. No, fourth class. So from which class we have started this one? Object-oriented programming. Yes, polymorphism. Using the same name for different logics. Okay, if you observe here, so generally the method, why we are creating the method to perform the logic, right? So if you observe here, in college class, some other logic is there. In faculty class, some logic is different. Similarly, in student class, you have some other logic. So, but when you observe the name of your logic is same, right? In college class, student class and faculty class, and also office class, you have the same name, but logic is different. Whatever the text you are printing, that is different, right? So polymorphism means using the same logic, using the same name for different logic. You are using the same thing, you are performing the same thing here. You are using the same name for different logic. That we call it as polymorphism. So we can do different types of polymorphisms. Okay, let's discuss that. Okay, so let me create one more package for polymorphism. Are you getting, are you able to follow this, what I'm explaining? I hope it is very clear. Okay, if you have doubts, you can ask. Okay, simple way I'm explaining. If you have any doubts, you can ask at the end of the class. Okay, so polymorphism. So let me explain you how many types we have polymorphism. So the general meaning of morphing, what is morphing? Picture morphing. Generally we do, right? pictures we morph, right? So generally, whenever you are editing any picture, that we call it as morphing. Morphing. Okay, you are changing something. So poly means it is a chemical word. You might have heard about it. Poly, polygons. It also mathematical terms. Okay, more than one. Poly means more than one. Poly means many. Okay, many ways you can change the method logic names. That we call it as polymorphism. Method logics you can change many ways. Okay, the same picture you will have, but you will add some other features, the colors, okay, the brightness, and also you will remove some other things from the picture. But picture will be same. The similar way, the method name will be same, but the logic will be different. Okay, so you can perform this polymorphism in two different ways. One is method overloading. Overloading. Okay, what is method overloading? Which you will load, overload. Okay, that we will discuss. Second one is method overriding. These are the simple terms you have to remember. See, by looking at this word only, in your mind it has to strike. In what way you can overload the method? In what way you can override the method? Overriding, replacing the method. We are already performing this overriding. Just now we did with the display method. How? When you create a single object for your office, generally what you can do, you can access all the methods, all the methods of all your parent classes, right? So you are able to access display method, display college details, display faculty details, display office, and display student details. You are able to access all the methods and also data. But coming to display method, when you call display method, it always calls from the current class. It always calls from the current class, which means it is overriding the existing previous classes. In existing previous classes also, in faculty class, student class, and office class also, we have this method. But still it won't call that logic. Okay, you are replacing the entire logics of the previous classes with your new logic. That comes under overriding. With the new logic, you are completely overriding it. Or you will call the previous class logic. Along with that, you can add some more logic, but you will give the same name. Okay, that time also it comes under overriding. So yesterday we have seen for in our inheritance in new calculator. Here, when I call addition method, what happens? It always calls this existing logic. The parent class logic it won't call. Okay, but inside the logic, what we have written is the old class logic also we are calling, and along with that we have added a new logic. But when you call addition method, it always calls the new logic. Okay, so we already performing this overriding. So what is overloading? I will explain. Okay, so let me create one new class. So class name is overloading. Overloading example. So overloading is very simple. Okay, so there will be no need of creating more than one class. Within a single class also we can do the overloading. Okay, so let me take the same calculator example because it is easy to understand. Why I'm using calculator? It is easy to understand. It is easy to. So these are the common operations in day-to-day work we will do, right? These arithmetic calculations. So now if you observe here, I have methods to perform the operations, right? Okay, suppose if I want to call addition method. Okay, so you have to create the object. Overloading example. So new overloading. Let me call addition method. 10 and 20 if I pass, what it will print? Okay, so here it is returning the value. If you want to print it, just print it. If you print it, it will display error exists, where error exists. In office class, we have error. What is the error? So let me comment it. So go to your overloading example. So if I run it, so 30 is printed. That is fine. Okay, it is working as expected. But I want to create a addition logic. I want to create a addition logic for 3 numbers. For 3 numbers, will it work? For 3 numbers, will it work? It won't work, right? But my requirement is to addition of 3 numbers. How I can do that? How I can do that? Okay, so you can create the method with same name. The logic will be same only. Your intention is you have to perform addition logic only, but 3 numbers. Okay, we have a facility that you can create a method with the same name, with the same signature, with different arguments, different count of arguments, int c. Okay, so this notation we call it as overloading. So now what you will do is, if you want to call the addition method logic, okay, this addition method logic that you can call, okay, a comma b. The addition, the other thing is we have to add plus c, right? This you can do this, or simply you can write a plus b plus c. Anything is fine. Suppose if you have some huge logic in addition, just call it that plus add like this. Now what you can do, you can call the method with 3 arguments. Okay, not only 2, you can also 3 arguments also. The addition only, addition of 3 numbers. This logic you can write with the overloading concept. We have one more requirement. Okay, so whenever you pass, that time only it is taking. So whenever you pass integers, it is working on integers. But my requirement is I want to perform the operation on strings. Will it work? This addition method will work. It won't work, right? It cannot add the 2 strings. But my requirement is to add 2 strings. Then how? What can I do? Logic name is different, same only. Okay, addition only. Okay, but the type of arguments. So whenever you pass these values, these technically we call it as arguments. These we technically call it as parameters. So these arguments will argue with these parameters, which means these will be assigned to these parameters. But I want to pass string arguments, then it won't work because the type of these values are integer. Okay, so now what you can do is you can create the name, you can create a logic again with the same name, with the same name. The count also can be same, but type must be different. I want to pass string. Here also string. Okay, so when you are returning after performing the addition, what you have to return? String only. The product will be, the addition of two strings will be string, right? You have to return string. Or if you want to add some additional logic, if you want to put some space between the strings, that you can put here. Okay, so this also comes under overloading. With different arguments, you are overloading the method, the same method name. You can write n number of methods with same name. But there is one rule. Argument type must be, the parameter type must be different when you are writing a new method with same name, or the count must be different. Either count or type must be different. Okay, so if you call addition method with the two strings, so it will perform the addition operation on two strings. See, hello Java is printed combined, perform the operation. Okay, so the overloading is you can create the same logic, same method name you can use for different logics. But whenever you are performing different logics, what you have to do, the parameter count or the parameter type must be vary different, like those must be vary between the methods, same methods. Then only your compiler can understand whenever you are calling the method based on its data. When you are pass strings, it will go to this addition method. When you pass integers, it will go to this particular addition, numeric addition method. This is overloading. Okay, there are some rules to overload or override. So I want to write one more addition method for float numbers. Is it possible? Yes, it is absolutely possible, right? So instead of string, I want to access float. I want to access float numbers. I want to return float as well. Float, it won't take, I think, double you have to use. Okay. So when you pass the float numbers, so let me take 10.5, 10.5 and 20 and 20.0. Okay, let me put this as F. This is also F. Yeah. It brings the 30.5. But you want to create this method, this addition method, as a static. Okay. Static. So here it is asking you to use, this one, class name. Okay, the warning is class name it is asking. Okay, so now what I will do is, I will create the same. Instead of float, what I pass is int. Okay, instead of float, what I do is int. This is also possible. Okay, so we have some restrictions to override. Okay, we don't have any restrictions to overload. You can write n number of methods with the same name, with static or without static. But the thing is, the signature must be different. Suppose, can I create the same method, okay, with the same name and same signature same name and same signature with static. Is it possible? It's not possible. So first it will check this signature. Okay. Suppose if you are returning long, is it possible? No. So here, if you observe, okay, so whenever, if you observe here, this looks like a different signature, but not. Your compiler won't consider as a different signature, even though you put long here. So these values, the production, the addition of these integer values, basically you can store into long. Okay, there is no error, basically. But still, it considers this name and also this parameter count that you cannot write in a static method also. This is not possible. In overloading with same signature, it is not possible. Okay, if you want to write overloading in different classes after providing the relation, yes, that is also possible. But the signature it will check. Okay, so let me create one more class. New class. Example overloading, just our child class of overload. Let me create this. So in child class, if you extend overloading class, extends overloading class. So here, let me write static method of the same static method I copy here and I paste here. See, still it is not allowing. So let me put integer. No, it is not allowing you. So let me remove static. It will allow. Okay, which means, okay, so let me put int C. Okay, so let me put static here. Again, you are getting error because this same method is available in the parent class. If it is a static method, you cannot overload or you cannot override, basically, not overload. Okay, if you put one more parameter, it will allow. Because this method is not available, static method can create that method. Okay, but it will not allow. Okay, so let me explain one more thing. So let me create one method, static void display. This is the method. Let me create the same method into my child class. So let me comment this. So now why it is accepting? So here, when you use the same method, which is there in the parent, it is not allowing. But when you create the same method, when you are not using return, it is allowing. Okay, so for your reference, what I do is, so let me copy this method. Let me take to here. Let me put it as static. See, so what is the difference then? Why it is not allowing you to use this display? So not allowing you to create the static method which is there in the parent class whenever it has the return type. But why it is calling the display method whenever there is no return type? Why? So the reason is, after performing this operation, okay, after performing this operation, it has to store the value, the result value, into some other memory location, right? And again, in the parent class, if you are calling using super keyword, that time also it has to store that value into memory location, method area location. Okay, when it is storing that data, there might be a chance to override that result. Suppose if it is gives you a, if it is allowing you to write some other logic, okay, so you already executed this method, this result is stored into some method area location. But coming to here, when you call this method with super keyword, there might be a chance to override the value of this value of this value in the backend with the new value. Okay, you might expect this value later, right? This result later, right? So that is the reason it is not allowing you. But when there is void, it will not store any result. That time there will be no problem. Okay, so this is the difference you have to observe. Okay, when you are writing overloading methods, if you try to override, okay, what is override? We will discuss tomorrow. Okay, so you cannot override the static methods. That is the thumb rule. But you have a chance to like override the static methods when you are using so let me put it as static here. So let's see. So here when you use static, again it is, when you use static, again this error is gone. Why this error is gone? Why this error is gone? The reason is, the static, when you use static for both the methods where it will store, into the static memory. Okay, so that time for this class and this class, two separate memories will be allocated, static memories. In the back end, two separate static memories will be allocated. So this will be stored into that particular static memory, and this particular method will be stored into particular static memory. Okay, but coming to when you are using without like one method is static and another method is non-static, that time you are getting the error. Okay, so like what are these conflicts, how to resolve it, how we can use those, we will discuss in the overriding concept. Okay, you will get these like errors for static to non-static, those we will discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay, there are some rules to override and overload, tomorrow we will discuss. Okay, yeah, so let me stop recording, let's stop our class for today.